The goddess the world forgot. You remember Zeus, the thunderer. You remember Athena, the warrior of wisdom. You remember Hades, Poseidon, Artemis, and Ares. But you've forgotten her, the one who stood first and stepped back, the one who lit Olympus but asked for no throne, the one whose name meant hearth, the quiet center of every world. Hestia, the first to be swallowed by Kronos, the last to be reborn in fire, the goddess of flame, silence, and sacrifice. History buried her in ash, but her fire never died. This is her story, the goddess you forgot, the flame that still burns. The first flame. Before the world had form, there was chaos. Then Gaia, then Uranus, then the Titans, and among them Kronos, the devourer of time. From his union with Rhea came 6 children: Hestia, Demeter, Hera, Hades, Poseidon, Zeus. But Kronos had heard a prophecy. One of his children would overthrow him. So he did the unthinkable. He swallowed them, one by one. Hestia was the first. The first light of Olympus snuffed out before she ever saw the sky. She entered the dark belly of Kronos, and she waited. Years passed, maybe centuries. Then came the youngest, Zeus, hidden by Rhea, raised in secret. And when he returned, he forced his father to vomit up his siblings. From that darkness, Hestia rose again, reborn in fire, quiet, watchful, whole. But she did not seek revenge. She did not seize power. She watched as her brothers split the cosmos, Zeus taking the sky, Poseidon the sea, Hades the underworld. She could have demanded a share. But Hestia chose something no other god did. She chose the center. She became the goddess of the hearth, not of war, not of wisdom, but of warmth, of presence, of continuity. While her siblings wielded thunder and tridents, Hestia tended the flame at the heart of every home. She took a vow, eternal virginity. Not as denial, but devotion. No marriage, no children, no scandals. While Aphrodite seduced and Hera raged, while Artemis hunted and Athena plotted, Hestia simply stayed. She never fought, she never screamed, she never broke, she remained. In a pantheon of drama and destruction, Hestia was stillness. But make no mistake, stillness is not weakness. Fire does not shout, it burns. The heart of Olympus. Hestia was one of the 12 Olympians, but her throne sat at the edge. She did not join the feasts of Dionysus. She did not hurl insults like Hera, or weapons like Ares. She listened. She watched, she served. She was the flame at the center of the gods' home. Not a goddess of lightning or vengeance, but of order, of peace, of balance. In every offering, her name was spoken first, before Zeus, before Athena, before anyone. Because without Hestia, no ritual could begin. She was the sacred spark that made the divine, divine. And yet, she did something no other god would ever dare. She gave up her seat. When Dionysus, the god of wine and madness, rose to Olympus, a place was needed for him among the 12. Rather than cause strife, rather than claim what was hers by right, Hestia stepped aside. No bitterness, no fury. She withdrew from the throne, but not from power. Power is not always loud. It is not always seen. Sometimes it is the quiet flame that never fades. Hestia did not need temples built in her image. She was present in every temple already, in the hearth, in the altar, in the center where all gathered. She ruled not from the skies like Zeus, nor from the depths like Hades. She ruled from within, in the flicker of a home's fire, in the bread baking at dawn, in the warmth of a family gathered together. While other gods craved adoration, Hestia craved only this: that the flame never go out. The Olympians tore through myths with chaos and conflict, but Hestia remained constant. a still point in a spinning world. The gods ruled the realms. Hestia ruled their center, the eternal flame. In every Greek home, there burned a fire, not just for warmth, not just for light, but for her. Hestia was the living flame. She was not represented by statue or beast or crown, but by fire itself. At the center of every household, a hearth was kept alive in her name, not as decoration, not as myth, as duty. When a new home was built, fire from the family hearth was carried to ignite the new one, because without Hestia's flame, a house was not yet a home. Before and after every meal, libations were poured for her, bread broken in her name. Every temple, no matter which god it served, kept a fire burning for Hestia. She was not the patron of one city, she was the silent guardian of all. And in the center of every polis, in the Prutenaion, the public hearth, a sacred fire was kept lit day and night, tended with reverence, protected with law. If that fire ever died, it was not just bad luck. It was an omen, a break in the pact between mortals and the divine. To reignite it, flame had to be drawn again from the purest source. No match, no spark, no shortcut, only from the sun or from Hestia's fire in another temple. Because her flame was more than heat, it was connection. To the gods, to the earth, to each other. She asked for no worship, and yet she received it everywhere. She had no great myths, and yet she was remembered in every gesture, every offering, every shared meal. She was the goddess of things too sacred to name, of the fire that never sleeps, of the warmth that binds the world together. Other gods ruled by force, Hestia ruled by necessity, for without her, nothing held. She was the center of every home, and the home of every center.
Hestia versus the Olympians. In the tales passed down through generations, you hear of storms and seductions, vengeance and war. You hear of Zeus hurling lightning, Athena guiding heroes, Poseidon shaking the earth, and Artemis stalking the woods with her bow. But Hestia, there are no quests in her name, no battles fought for her honor, no mortals punished, no monsters slain. She is the only Olympian without a single myth of conquest. Not because she was weak, but because she refused to play the game. While the other gods chased power, Hestia chose presence. While they demanded temples and sacrifices, she asked only that her flame be kept alive. She did not threaten. She did not curse. She simply was. And that made her different. In a pantheon of chaos, Hestia was the still point. In a family of pride and wrath, she embodied restraint. While the Olympians waged divine dramas, jealousy, betrayal, violence, Hestia kept the world turning in silence. Where Hera lashed out in vengeance, Hestia forgave. Where Ares roared into war, Hestia stayed behind to tend the wounded. Where Aphrodite sparked desire, Hestia nurtured trust. And perhaps that is why her stories were not told, because they were not loud, because they did not break things, because her power was not in what she destroyed, but in what she preserved. In many ways, Hestia was the anti-Olympian. No scandals, no rivalries, no indulgence. And yet, her absence from myth says more than her presence could. It reveals what the world often forgets, that the ones who hold it all together are rarely the ones who take the spotlight. She stood apart, not in defiance but in devotion. She ruled no domain, and yet she was everywhere, not on the battlefield, not in the sky, but in the ember that never dies. The forgotten goddess, we remember the gods who made noise, the gods who stirred storms, cracked mountains, seduced mortals, started wars. But what of the one who asked for nothing? What of the goddess who never demanded to be remembered? Hestia didn't roar, she whispered. And so history, like mankind, forgot to listen. There are no great temples that survive in her name, no sacred epics written about her deeds, no Homeric hymn that sings her victories. She is a goddess without spectacle, without tragedy, without scandal, and because of that, she vanished from the stories we tell. But make no mistake, her absence is not proof of her weakness, it's proof of ours. Because we are drawn to flames that burn wild, but not to those that keep us warm. We immortalize gods who kill, but not those who preserve. We praise drama and chaos, but rarely honor the quiet, enduring, sacred stillness. And so Hestia, the firstborn of the Olympians, became the least spoken of. She was there before the thrones, before the wars, before the myths themselves. And yet we placed her at the margins, not because she was less divine, but because we failed to see the divine in simplicity, in the flicker of a hearth, in a meal shared without words, in a life lived with devotion, not ambition. The Greeks revered her. They spoke her name before all others in ritual. They never forgot to honor her at the start of every sacrifice. But we did. In a world obsessed with heroes and victories, Hestia faded, not in rage, not in sorrow, but like the last coal in a fire left untended, still glowing, but unseen. Her legacy in ashes. There was a time when no fire was lit without her. No city was founded without her blessing. No meal was shared without a whispered offering in her name. But time moved on, and with it, so did the world. The sacred hearths, once tended day and night, they dimmed. The temples fell silent, and the eternal flames were allowed to die. With the rise of new gods, new empires, new faiths, Hestia's name became a memory, and then a whisper. Rome called her Vesta, and built her a round temple in the heart of the city, where virgins kept her fire burning for 1,000 years. But even that flame, that symbol of stability, of peace, of sacred duty, was eventually snuffed out by decree. The rituals ceased, the temples crumbled, and the goddess of the hearth, who had once warmed the soul of civilization, was left behind in the ruins. No one stormed her altars. No one declared war against her. They simply forgot. And that, perhaps, is the cruelest death a god can suffer. Not destruction, but silence. No rage, no rebellion, just absence. And yet, there are places where her presence still lingers. Not in the temples, not in the books, but in the quiet. In the flicker of a flame on a winter night. In the steam rising from a pot of soup. In the hush that falls when a family gathers to eat. In the first light of morning. Soft, unnoticed, vital. Hestia's legacy is not carved in marble. It is not shouted in myth. It is written in warmth, in patience, in stillness. And though her cult has turned to ash, though the gods of Olympus are now echoes in stone, her fire endures in the most human of places. She still burns. She was the first and the first to be born, the last to be remembered. She asked for no glory, and so we gave her none. But she was there always, at the edge of every myth, at the center of every life. No one built empires in her name. No one died for her. No one conquered because of her. And yet, she made the world worth living in. While gods roared above and men bled below, she kept the flame alive, not with power, but with presence. She is not gone. She was never truly gone, because as long as there is warmth in the dark, as long as there is peace in the storm, as long as someone tends the fire, Hestia still burns. Stop before you leave. Check this other videos that we made for you. You will love them. Like and subscribe.